Hello and welcome to New Game Plus. I'm Tim. I'm joined by Kirsty. How are you?
I'm feeling pretty good. We've had a very busy weekend in gaming, I think it can be said. You know, Valentine's Day, as we go to air, was only a few days ago.
Yep.
And now, of course, we had the Titanfall Beta.
Yes, so I look forward to a preview of the Titanfall later on in the episode. But there's also been game releases this week, so we'll also be looking at Final Fantasy XIII Lightning Returns.
It's kind of mouthful, and I'm really losing track at all of which order does these Final Fantasy XIIIs goes into, and then where does it fit in the Final Fantasy universe.
There's a million Final Fantasy XIIIs.
Yes,
and I think once it gets to 15, they'll start numbering them again properly.
Oh, but I know, because it doesn't help, because then there's still, like, the story, it's not, like, where does it all fit, and how, oh my gosh, imagine having a collection of Final Fantasy games, it would just go on forever. But anyway, we'll get talking about that more later in the episode, because we also have, you've managed to sneakily sneak in.
Yes, we've put in the movie trailer that everyone's been talking about.
You can't miss it on Facebook, like, it's shares everywhere, it's crazy.
Yes, so obviously I've slipped in some Dota, the trailer for free-to-play. Yes, look forward to that later on in the episode, but we've also got an interview with the Rooster Teeth guys.
Yes, it was Gus and Jack and Burnie and Gus. I think, yes. So we've got an awesome extended cut interview for you coming up, and we've got an even more extended cut with even more awesomeness and incorrectness going on in the website, so you can check that out.
First up, let's check out the Titanfall beta.
One of the most anticipated titles of 2014, Shane, is Titanfall, Respawn Entertainment's online-only multiplayer shooter with giant robots. Now, as of recording, we have just closed the beta. Shane, you've played through some of it, as have I. What are your thoughts?
It really is the COD killer, as per se.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
got
for sure.
a better movement, I would say. It controls so much better, and all the mechanics are a lot better than the COD.
You're just talking about on-the-ground action as well. You're not talking about the verticality, the fact you can double jump, the fact you can wall run. It just adds so much speed, so much momentum to proceedings. It just makes Call of Duty seem slow and sedate by comparison.
But the issue I do have with it is the first 2 minutes where you're literally just killing AI just to farm your robot, to get your robot.
Well, you're wrong on that one, and you also say this as a Dota player.
But it's just, you literally are. There's no kind of combat against your two pilots versing each other, because the maps are so big. They're made for Titan combat. They literally are made for Titan combat, and the maps are so big, you're all not near each other, you're just versing AI.
See, I kind of disagree with you on one. In my experiences, I never ran into an occasion where I didn't have anything to do, like, say, COD Ghost. I always had, even if it was, an AI bot or a human pilot to run through, I was still shooting my guns every 30 seconds or something like that. And then when the Titans actually did come down, human-controlled pilots was still relevant. They could still destroy Titans like that. They could still shoot down players who are waiting for Titans easily.
I'm not saying that they aren't unbalanced. Like, the Titan versus pilot combat is very, very, very balanced, and it works really, really well. I'm just saying it's not, like, it doesn't have the competitive edge that I think some of the, Battlefields or CODs kind of have. It just has more stand back and farm.
It is fun, though.
Yes, it is a very fun game.
Extraordinarily fun. So, Shane, are you going to rush out to your stores to buy Titanfall when it comes out?
Probably I'll wait until we get Australian servers, because that is one thing we didn't say. There is no Australian servers at the moment.
Yeah.
A bit shitty.
It's not unplayable, but it certainly makes a note. This beta has left me with a rather excited taste for Titanfall. I'm very much looking forward to it.
And I have to say this line, get in the fucking robot, Shanji.
Normally this is our would Timmy play it section, but we've decided to turn it into could Timmy play it section.
And the answer is no.
No.
So the Titanfall beta, while very pretty and looked amazing, and I couldn't play it.
Yes, there was, now again, much like this Dota thing we're going to watch later on, this was the thing everybody was talking about over the weekend. It was really kind of going on about it. But then there was obviously the issues of not being able to get on.
Unfortunately, there was issues with OptusNet customers in Victoria not being able to connect to servers, and I probably tried for about 8 or 9 hours to connect to servers.
Apparently you could get on at like 2 a.m. Yeah, wasn't it like, for some people it cleared up at 10 p.m. and then others it didn't clear till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Which is really disappointing.
And
because
also the servers, like the 1.5 games that I did play, it was over 200 millisecond ping because it's Southeast Asian and East Asian servers. But for the people that did get to play it, they certainly enjoyed it. And if everyone's on even ping, it's an even game. But
true, but this is really ringing, like everything I was hearing was all SimCity was coming to mind here. Was, you know, we had the exact same issues with SimCity a while ago, and I'm just hoping that, you know, I was a bit disappointed with SimCity. I don't want to be disappointed with Titanfall.
Which is strange because the Origin servers are fantastic in Australia. Why can't they use those servers?
Just welcome to the internet in Australia. There's a certain expectation you get when a game begins with the impossible, particularly after the impossible game. So I decided to really dive in with The Impossible Line by Chillingo and My Entertainment. And the whole premise of the game is you have a little chalk drawn arrow on one side of the screen and a dot on the other side of the screen, and you have to draw a line in between obstacles. Now the great thing is, of course, the obstacles disappear. And that's basically the only element of the game. There's like basically endless levels, or as far as I ever got. And the way it happens is because these levels disappear, obviously the complexity of the levels evolves as you get further along. There aren't that many sound effects in this game, which was actually quite interesting. When you draw, it's just the sound of scratching on a chalkboard as your only companion. And also to help in the game, there's like a red dot that pulsates and also beeps the closer you get to one of these invisible walls. And the game is just really fun. You'd think this game would get really frustrating, but on the contrary, I found it really exciting. When you successfully complete a level, it shows you your replay, and if you obviously fail, it also shows you your replay so you can learn where you went wrong. My biggest issue with this game was the sheer sensitivity of this arrow. Obviously the calibration on your iPad sometimes goes and I didn't put my finger there, but all of a sudden I'm hitting a wall, or you don't even really touch the wall and it says you're out, which was really annoying. But otherwise this game is just simple fun. Works perfectly on the iPad for the bigger screen. The ads are annoying, but this is with every freeware game. I never felt pressured into buying things, so you really can't go wrong.
So, let's go back to the beginnings. You're making silly videos about Halo with you guys talking over the top of them. All of a sudden, it takes off. It becomes an international success. What's going through your head at that point?
Well, I think anytime that you start any kind of project, you have hopes for it. But I would say that the early days of Red vs. Blue surpassed our wildest expectations about 2 weeks in at that point.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And so you get flown to Australia. Well, you've come to here. You've gone to all these different places promoting this product you guys have made in your spare time. Was there any expectation that it would ever become that even down the road? Not even straight away, but down the road.
No, I mean not at all. I mean we always hoped you can actually hear on the very first recording of our first voice lines. We put it up. I didn't have enough audio equipment yet. I just had a video camera, so I recorded Gus and Jeff doing their lines. And the first thing is me hitting record and them going, "What is this for? Why are you recording it?" And I said, "Well, you never know. This might turn into something, and we might want it for bonus stuff, whatever." And Jeff goes, "You mean like a behind the scenes thing?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, that's cool, good idea." And it's like you tell we're even in that even preparing for something like that, how naive we were. But both Gus and I mean, neither one of us had been outside the country before we started RVV.
No, I got a passport specifically for my.
Hey, I don't want to hold the mic for you. You're gonna have to hold the mic. This feels awkward. There you go.
Give me that. So I got a passport specifically for my first trip to Melbourne back in 2004. We did a screening here at Acme, just down the road, and I'm still using that passport now. It's my 5th time down here. It's about to expire. I feel a little weirdly sentimentally attached to that passport because over the it's I got it because of Red vs. Blue and because of Rooster Teeth, and I've filled it essentially going around the world simply promoting this project and talking about it.
Do you have any stamps in that are for anything but Rooster Teeth travel? Have you traveled out of the country for personal reasons?
No.
Yeah, so that's
No.
a catalog of everywhere you've been for Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys could frame that and keep it as merch for later on. We can do replications of it.
Yeah, guys, you're so sentimental.
I feel attached to my passport. Wow. It's like the old kind too. They don't make them like that anymore.
Only you'd be attached to a government document, a form of some kind. It's yeah, that sounds like something you'd be sentimental for. How about you, Jack? Had you ever been out of the country before Rooster Teeth?
Yeah. When I was writing for Ain't It Cool, I went to Bermuda twice.
He doesn't want to hold your mic.
No, it's cool.
No, it's okay. I can do it for Jack.
Yeah. So, I went to Bermuda a couple times. I went to the Caribbean once, and so Canada a few times. But yeah,
Does Canada count though?
I was going to say, none of those sound like they count as being outside the country, but yeah, we'll take your word for it.
Well, now coming into Jack, now you came on board, I guess, as second gen, if you would. You weren't OG crew, you were second gen.
Yeah.
How did it feel to come into, I guess, an established franchise like what the guys have done with RVB, make something like Achievement Hunter, work with the guys on videos for that, and make it the success that it was?
Well, it's definitely intimidating because, I mean, these guys have been around for, I mean, they would have been working together for 7 years when I finally showed up, and I was employee like number 9 or 10. And, you know, since then, we're up at like 56 or 57. Like, we have a whole lot of people that it really is the last few years, we've like exponential growth. But, yeah, I mean, like, this was a really tight-knit group of friends. And so it was kind of cool, like, joining into that and kind of being a part of that. And for a while, it took a long time for me to kind of settle into my own there, you know, kind of like feel my ground and kind of know what was going on. And I think it's weird now to be like lumped in with like the original guys. Because to me, I'm still like, you know, that second gen, you know, like me, Brandon, and Monty all came in within about 6 months of each other. And but yeah, even then, like these guys, they've been around for so long, like before and so I don't know. It's weird, but it's kind of cool to be part of that. But now it's like we have so many new people. It's like I don't even know everyone's name at the office anymore.
You're that guy. Everyone goes, oh, that's, and you're like, oh yeah, hey, buddy, yeah.
Yeah, over time, those distinctions matter less and less. Like, I mean, Jack even being 7 years apart, it's like it's like different generations of the company where we work on different things. And now Achievement Hunter being such a critical part of the company, it's like that's what matters more than anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first started Red vs. Blue, I was like the old guy because I was so much older than Gus and Jeff. But somehow now we're all the same age.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how that happens. Like we caught up.
Yeah, somehow or some way.
So, and that's the other thing as well. So you've got Rooster Teeth. You guys do a lot of the creative projects, the RVB. You've got Ruby coming out, and then you've got Achievement Hunter, a very different kind of thing. It's about video gaming specifically, but more let's play videos, Achievement Hunter guides, maps, that kind of stuff. Did you ever envision the whole project becoming, I guess, the dichotomy there, or was it just the natural progression?
Jack could obviously answer this more in depth, but initially when it started, it was supposed to be something different. It was supposed to be more of a celebration of direct video game culture. But I think you guys have done a tremendous job of kind of going back to the heart and soul of Rooster Teeth and making it more narrative. I always say what sets Rooster Teeth apart is the personalities behind it. Anybody could pick up a copy of Minecraft and record themselves playing it. But when these guys do it, it's 2 to 5 million views when they do that, and there's something to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the things where, we're not a traditional serialized show, but there is serial elements to everything we do because, we'll have conversations where, at some point Gavin will get kicked off Team Lads and then like 3 or 4 more videos will mention that and then they go, okay, you're back in later on. So if you do watch everything we do, you do kind of catch a little bit of that. And, you definitely watch. You can watch us grow over the years as we've done all these different things. And
Achievement City is a great example. Achievement City itself is a great example of that.
Yeah. I mean, you can see like stuff we built up and it keep getting bigger and bigger. So it's kind of it's neat because we didn't launch it as that. That wasn't the idea. The idea initially was honestly to do like tutorial guides and like videos and help people out in video games. Like do like a game facts on like in video with some personalities.
That's what I always meant. I mean, the title itself, Achievement Hunter, would denote that's what the original focus was.
And that's exactly what it was. It was just us like showing how to do how to get achievements in video games. And then we realized shortly, after about a year or so of doing that there were points where there would be no new games. And it'd be like, okay, well, what are we going to do this week? There's no new releases. And so that's where Awu came from. That's where Fails of the Week came from, and Horse, and these shows that, whether or not anything comes out, we'll still have content to put out that week. And now we've got something like probably 15 shows scheduled throughout the week across our Let's Play stuff and our normal Achievement Hunter stuff. So it's just, and then we do the guides on top of that as well. So there's a lot of content there.
And going back to the RVBs and things like that, the planning that goes into it is much different to something like the Achievement. You guys obviously have to script it, plan it, shoot it all in one hit. Has the process changed that much since the original days?
It has. Season 10 was probably the first season of Red vs. Blue to be completely scripted before we even shot the first episode. A lot of times we had a big bookends for the season where we started and where we wanted to end up, and then we had major milestones along the way. And we never really wrote beyond any one milestone. Like, we'd write 4 episodes at a time at the most. But season 10, we just scripted the whole way through. And then once we brought on the animators, and everything else in season 8, a lot of their stuff had to be scripted well in advance. And so, yeah, there's always been a constant evolution. I think at Rooster Teeth, the big secret to our success is that we've been very adaptive. We haven't always been the first in anything. We were late to YouTube, but we've always adapted to things, and tried to make productions that fit in with whatever the current environment is for online video.
Well, speaking of which, you were saying about animations. Now, obviously, when it started, it was captured specifically in game. It was everything that you should do, and the limitations existed to what was in game. Later seasons, of course, you guys introduced CG elements. Was it something that you figured had to happen, or did it just seemed right at the time?
Well, when we first started doing it, we made a conscious effort to make it anything that, like, we realized a lot of younger people were watching it and they would want to, become inspired by it. And we thought, well, we want to have it as much off the shelf as possible. And that was important to us early on. What ended up happening was the machinima movement exploded, but it wasn't a coincidence that most of machinima was in Halo. And so then it became very difficult for us to differentiate our content, at least on a visual basis, from all the other, people we had inspired. And we always thought we were, kind of in the vanguard leading this content. So we had to kind of push ourselves and do new things. And then we started doing the animation from that.
Well, speaking of the characters as well, obviously we've followed their progression from Gus and Jeff sitting in a canyon talking about life and the existence, right through to vast government conspiracies and what is the meaning of being on Team Red, Team Blue. Is it just going to keep, are you guys going to just keep adding layer and layer? Are you happy where the characters have gone?
Well, I think it's I consider Red vs. Blue to be a sci-fi show. And the run of Red vs. Blue has gone over now the full run of Lost, which I think was a big revival in the sci-fi genre. But Lost was an interesting show to me because Lost turned the sci-fi genre into kind of the mystery genre. In that you're always trying to fool the audience, and the audience had to figure out what's going on. It added a gaming element to sci-fi, and a lot of shows had that. Like Battlestar Galactica had who were the Cylons, and there were these things that had to be solved. I never really had that with RVB. I thought we were telling a pretty straightforward story just over a long period of time. And then I found the audience was adding these gaming elements themselves. They're like, who's this person? What's this? And they were trying to build these conspiracies into it. But one of the things that always aggravated me about Lost was you would get to the layer where these people know what's going on in the island. Nope, it's these guys. And you're like, oh, they know what's going on. Nope, now it's the people above them. And it just kept going up and up. You can always add another layer on top. Yeah, that's not what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys, for taking the time to speak to us. We wish you the best of luck with everything, the best of luck with PAX, and we hope to speak to you guys again very soon.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everyone's searching for something. The ability to become someone else. The player might not understand it, but it's there.
10 years ago, competitive gaming wasn't even a thing.
Now you're trying to be the best in the world.
We're live here in Cologne, Germany for the main event. Who will get a shot at the $1 million?
In 10 years, sports will be bigger than football.
The teamwork and the trust and the sacrifices are true for every team sport.
It's the start of something big, like a revolution.
In 10 years' time, we will look back and say this was the beginning. This is where it all started. These are the guys that took the risk and they proved themselves.
I got kicked out of my house because of my gaming career.
I was your typical parent. You're spending too much time playing computer games. What if nothing comes of it?
If I don't win, I don't get paid.
It's critical that I am successful.
He's an A-star student, because of this gaming, we owe him right now.
Career in gaming is very risky.
But the chance to be the best in the world at something, you don't get it much in life.
Something knock you down, you need to learn to get up. One way to forget about pain is to do something you will be in completely. So, computer games. And now I have a chance to win this tournament for my family.
So we hit the point now. The gloves come off. This clash of the Titans is something we will not want to miss.
This is the most important moment in my life. It's gonna make my time playing this game all worth it.
It would kind of vindicate us.
Well, that was the trailer for the free-to-play movie that is, it's following around three famous Dota 2 players, of course, Dandy, HYHY, and Fia from America. And I think this movie, the people that saw it at TI3, the attendees, absolutely raved about it, and I can see why. I'm really looking forward to this movie.
And even as somebody who, kind of publicly comes out and hates Dota, even I'm interested to see this movie because it also focuses on, esports as a phenomenon and how they're saying it's going to be bigger than football and it's come out of nowhere. And I want to see how these people live. Like, it's a hard life from everything I've heard.
Yeah, it certainly is. Looking deeper into these people's lives because as a viewer, you don't necessarily see all this sort of stuff. So it's all the behind the scenes, really deep look into these players' lives. And I can't wait for it to come out next month on Steam. It's going to be great.
Now, I'm not the face you would expect to see in a Final Fantasy review, Shane.
Probably not.
Probably not. But you know what? I'm going to give it a chance. There's a lot of talk about Final Fantasy XIII, particularly the original game being not great because it was. Let's be honest, it wasn't great. The second one, from what I'd seen and the little bit that I'd played, it was a lot better.
It was very good actually.
The third one, they've mixed it up again as they've done, and you can tell that. I don't want to say it's low budget because it's not. But it's definitely not the same budget that they had for the original game.
Yeah, it's a very much low budget in a sense that there aren't very much graphical changes in the game. You see it kind of in like the character models and I guess like the lip syncing.
Off,
it's just a little bit too off that you think they didn't have the money to make this perfect.
And I think that's like the art style changes work. Like it still looks good, but it's a bit darker. The colors are a bit more.
It's a little bit edgier too. I think.
Yeah, and. So I guess on that front it's fine because people still know Lightning, people who were attached to the character and what happened at the end of 13.2 are still going to play it. Then comes the gameplay changes.
Yeah, it's kind of merged between Mario and Luigi kind of timing combat style. It's got elements of you'd say
Tales of Vesperia,
Crisis Core, that kind of stuff.
More that kind of it takes place on a battlefield and you run around and you press the attack that you want to do, and then obviously timing comes into that as well. And I don't know, to me that works because I think my biggest complaint with Final Fantasy has always been the fact that you've got 4 teenagers standing in line just waiting for literally a god to drop on them. And it's like, run.
Block.
Do friggin' something, just don't stand in one line. And I think that's what works about this, is the fact that they've at least given it that Xenoblade touch, which Xenoblade Chronicles was the best Wii game no one played.
It's got that kind of, skill to it that the other ones didn't. It's got that little bit of just timing that can change up very much all the fights. Like if you're fighting against someone that's, a lot stronger than you, if you get a perfect guard or something and stagger an enemy, you might actually have a chance of beating it.
Exactly. And again, it goes back to, like you said, Paper Mario RPG. That's my favorite kind of style where it comes down to picking the right move, sure, but it also comes down to your input as well.
Yeah.
But I guess the big thing is the story. Like, is it a fitting continuation / conclusion of the Lightning arc?
It's a conclusion. I don't know if it's 100% fitting. It kind of opens up a few areas here and there, and it's not really, fully, I'd say, finished.
It doesn't close every loop.
It doesn't feel like it has closed everything. But
maybe there's a 4 coming.
Maybe. I don't know.
You don't sound happy about that, though.
I don't know. Hopefully they can do better.
Now, I still really haven't finished an entire Final Fantasy game since 8. So this doesn't instill confidence into me to jump back into the series.
I jumped the gun. I just skipped 13 entirely. Went to 14 MMO. That's more of my space. I didn't last long there, but 13. I guess this is probably the weaker of the 13s.
Yeah, it's certainly sounding that way, and it's, I don't know, the one thing that was kind of brought up is it lacked a little bit of polish. It felt a bit rough at times, and for me, a Final Fantasy game has to be very polished. I still never forget watching these cutscenes of Final Fantasy VII and just being so impressed, and everything kind of worked really nicely. So to try and get me back into the series, I don't think this is the game I would jump in with. Perhaps I should go back and play the Final Fantasy XIII, the first one, I suppose.
Go back to 10 and play
I'm not playing 10. I can't handle Titus. I just can't. I remember playing 10 and getting really frustrated, and I couldn't deal with him. He was very cute, and that water ball scene was really awesome, but everything else just grated me the wrong way. Couldn't deal with it. But
Final
anyway,
Fantasy would not
we'll get
play.
some good. Yeah, but it's good for cosplay. Final Fantasy games always good for cosplay. Think of all the unis you've seen.
Yeah.
A lot of unis. Anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Anyway, let's look forward to next week.
Yes.
We do have some cool content coming
yes,
up.
We'll be looking at The Last of Us DLC, Left Behind, Ellie's single-player story. And
you feel a bit sadder now, don't you, as well?
But yeah, certainly look forward to that next week. And
Yes.
Don's Indie Wrap. So lots of cool indie games coming out. But let's wrap it up.
Yes.
Visit our website, www.newgameplus.tv.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/NewGamePlusTV.
And follow our Twitter at NewGamePlusTV,
Thank
as
you.
well as our Twitch.
Ooh.
Follow our Twitch as well.
Yes, and thank you so much, Timmy, and we shall see you next week.